The Cubs open 2025 with the toughest schedule, yet still lead the National League in run differential at 95. PCA is off to an historic start. Mashaw may have turned a corner. Dansby's having a career year, but is this pitching staff built to last? We discuss all this on this edition of the CHGO Cubs Related Podcast. This is the CHGO Cubs Related Podcast. I'm filling in for Corey. I feel like it's back in 2015, 2016 over here when the Cubs won the World Series. Filling in for Corey is Kevin Wells. Kevin, good to see you.
Good to see you too, man.
You're picking the best time to come on the show right now. The vibes are at an all-time high, a decade best high, 35 and 21. How good are you feeling?
I can't believe you asked me to come on. I was not going to say no to an opportunity to talk about this team.
I've been drinking some tea because I know I'm like, oh my God, Kevin's coming on. He's got the radio voice. I got to soothen up my vocal cords to match yours.
That's not where I thought you were going with this. I thought you were going to be like, oh, I'm going to be yelling. I'm going to be hyped up. I'm going to be like Cody after a 3-game sweep. But yeah, man, this team is they're fun. They're fun. They're relentless. They're fierce. They're competitors. They have a great mix. They're deep. There's so many adjectives that I could use, but can't wait to talk about the entirety of where we sit today here, almost in June, 14 games above 500. Can't wait to talk about all that with you here coming up tonight.
Oh, it's going to be a jam-packed show. For those wondering where Corey's at, Corey's traveling. He'll be back next Thursday. So, just bear in all you Corey fans who are missing him. You got a great substitute in Kevin. So we do have a jam-packed show. So we're going to talk about PCA. How can you not talk about PCA? We'll talk about the lineup trends. Specifically, the theme of this podcast is looking at the Cubs' 100-win pace and trying to determine how sustainable this pace is. Where could it break? What has looked surprisingly good that is sustainable? And what are the areas for improvement, which may seem obvious, but we'll get into it. I do want to first start, Kevin, just by highlighting the offense. So I was going through the bulk numbers, preparing for the show. The bulk numbers across the board, every single hitter in this lineup has a WRC plus over 100. And that surprised me, including Matt Shaw and that slow start. Surprised me with, a lot of the other guys even having WRC pluses over 110. Most of the lineup is a WRC plus over 110. So just to briefly read off these numbers, you have Carson Kelly, right? Best hitter in the team when he is playing. He's batting 290 with 9 home runs. It's 179 WRC plus. Seiya has a 148. Tucker, 151. PCA, MVP pace, 138. Michael Busch, weird season, 128 WRC plus, even though he feels like he's been slumping recently. Miguel Amaya, 127. Dansby, 110. Ian, 103. Nico, 101. And Matt Shaw, 101. That is absurd that you have 10 guys getting consistent playing time with those numbers.
Absurd, and just the reason that they've had so much success, right? I know you and Corey have talked about it relentlessly, but the 7, 8, 9 hitters and the production you're getting from the bottom of the lineup and the production that you didn't have last year because you didn't have 4 guys on the team that are currently in the starting 9 almost, 3-4 times a week. Carson Kelly, PCA, Matt Shaw. I'm missing one in there too. Even Miguel Amaya before he got hurt. I mean, you have new faces, you have a combination of guys who've been here for a while, all hitting for a high average. And I think that that's the difference between this Cubs team and the other National League contenders right now. When I said that the Cubs had the best offense in baseball a week ago, I meant it, and I still believe that they do. And it's not because they have the best hitters in the league. They have a couple guys who are tearing the cover off the ball and will be near the top of the league when it's all said and done. but they're not top heavy. The Dodgers are a great team and probably still the best team in baseball altogether once they get everybody healthy and they have a great offense, but they're top heavy. The Cubs are finding ways to win because of more than just Kyle Tucker, because of more than just Pete Crow-Armstrong, because of more than just Dansby Swanson. And I think that's what sets them apart right now in the National League and in baseball altogether. It's because when one guy slumps, it's not hurting them. When Matt Shaw wasn't hitting well, it wasn't hurting them. They sent him down, comes back up, and now he's been a nice addition. But when Dansby was going through that weak funk and Craig sent him down in the lineup, they were still winning games.
Yeah.
And I think that's the difference between this lineup versus other good lineups in the National League is you don't see this type of production. Usually there's at least a couple holes in the lineup, and
there's
haven't seen it yet.
Craig Counsell described the offense as dangerous. And what you just described the offense as well as, not top heavy is exactly what Craig was insinuating, because when there are 2 weak funks, as Craig said, they can survive this. When Dansby's dropped down to the 8th spot, they can survive that. When PCA started the year slow, they were being carried by Kyle Tucker. When Kyle Tucker was slumping, Dansby Swanson was carrying the team. Sandwiched in between all this, you had Carson Kelly emerging, Miguel Amaya showing consistent plate approaches. Nico Hoerner has been that stable cog towards the back end of the lineup. And now, in addition to those guys stabilizing, you have Matt Shaw emerging from AAA, making those adjustments, and you start dreaming. I'm dreaming specifically on those upper end, projections. Going into the year, we assume Kyle Tucker would be an MVP caliber guy. We assume Seiya Suzuki at the bare minimum would look like some semblance of the past 2 years. But every single one of these hitters is performing slightly better than their projections. Even Seiya, even Swanson, even Michael Busch, despite the slump. And when you start looking down the order and seeing every single hitter, for the most part, being a little hyperbolic, but every single hitter outperforming their projections, then like how we're talking about having a dangerous lineup and having some guys offset each other, well, if there's a few regression candidates, there aren't going to be 10 regression candidates in the lineup.
And how long have we wanted a team like that? How long have we been waiting for? The last 2 seasons when they won 83 games, that what you just said right there is the difference between winning 83 games and winning 90 games and making the playoffs is because they went through so many of these slides in which one guy slumped and that was it. If Cody Bellinger wasn't hitting, if Dansby Swanson wasn't hitting, you weren't scoring any runs. You had guys getting on base, but you didn't have any pop in the lineup. Now, with the production you're getting, with a healthy Seiya Suzuki who's played, the whole year, hasn't had any injury luck, who's now performing at an elite level, National League Player of the Week, and you add Kyle Tucker to that, and then the unbelievable emergence of Pete Crow-Armstrong. I mean, it's an unrecognizable team.
I feel like every time we bring up PCA, your reaction is everyone's reactions. There's a little bit of a flinch. It's like, is this real? Basically, are we really seeing PCA perform at an MVP type level? It's funny because everyone's saying it. The marquee broadcast is saying it. You have Alex Cohen describing MVP Pete right on the Grand Slam home run call, and that's not even crazy either.
No, now do I think I'm not going to pour cold water on it because Pete is impacting the game every night, and I always give credit to a really good analyst, and I love Jim Deshaies for this because he makes us smarter baseball fans watching him talk. Even when Pete goes 0 for 4, the walk-off against the Rockies is a perfect example. He goes 0 for 4. He's not on base. Made a couple nice catches in the outfield, but overall wasn't impacting the game. Gets on the ghost runner on second base and immediately takes third, a couple pitches in. So because he steals third, the infield now shifts over and creates that hole in the left side and allows Michael Busch to punch one through. He scores the game-tying run. If he's still on second base, chances are your left side of your infield is lined up at normal depth, and that's just a ground out. So that's why I don't want to pour cold water on the PCA MVP talks, because I don't think he's the best player in the National League. I think Freddie Freeman's having an unbelievable year. I think there's a lot of guys who, because of legacies, will likely win it over him, but they aren't impacting the game the way Pete is right now.
What do you think the likelihood is that the numbers look like 75% of what we're seeing by season's end? Do you think Pete's early season performance is sustainable, more or less, or do you think there will come a point where things do start to cool down slightly?
Well, it's an ebbs and flows, and he's 23, so I would expect this to slow a little bit. I would expect.
So just to clarify, you don't think it's going to be ending with a 10-WAR total?
No, I do not. Is that what he's projected for? 10? Is he?
That's
he
the pace he's on right now. Is 10. Yeah, he's 3.5 WAR right now. Yeah.
When before the year started, I was looking at his ZiPS projections and things, and I love that. I love reading ZiPS because most of the time with hitters, they're pretty close. You can go through the Steamer, ZiPS, whatever, and they have a bunch of different ones you can look at. And I think Pete was projected to hit anywhere. I think it changed a couple times, but it was like 13 to 17 home runs this season. And I'm that sounds about right.
That sounds about right to me too.
He might hit 40.
He's on pace for it, right?
I don't know. I don't think he'll continue to get on base as much. I think we'll still see the strikeouts. I think we'll still see the frustration just because he's a free swinger, and Craig isn't going to take that away from him because that's what's made him so dangerous. And in a lineup where you have guys who take good at bats, you can vouch for Pete to be more aggressive because you have guys who aren't as aggressive and will get on base. So you can allow Pete to have more freedom, and they're going to keep letting that ride. So I would assume we'll see a little bit of a dip, but the power doesn't seem to be slowing down at all. The weather hasn't slowed it down. The home run off Hunter Green really showed me that. 107 or it was 107 exit velocity, 101 on the black on the outside part of the plate, and he pulls it for a home run.
No one's ever done that in the StatCast era. So no one's taken a 100-mile-per-hour pitch on the outer portion of the black and pulled it as a left-handed batter. No one. Not Shohei Ohtani, not your guy who you just mentioned, Freddie Freeman. No one's done that.
And that is why I think the power sticks around for the year. If he's healthy, I think he'll get close to 40 homers. So because he's continuing to just hit anything and everyone. He's hit. Sarah Langs did a great job of the home run he hit last night was just over a foot off the ground.
Crazy.
She said that's the second lowest pitch hit for a homer this season, behind also Pete Crow-Armstrong, who hit one less than a foot off the ground back on May 2nd for a home run. So he's hitting everything, and he's hitting everything far, and he's hitting it hard, and he's hitting it off of good pitchers. So the eye test tells me, and from the guys he's hitting home runs off of, that tells me that's a trend I like and a trend I'm going to buy into.
They're extreme blips. So we talk about stabilization and sample size. That's been, for better, for worse, part of baseball vocabulary. Personally, I hate those words, right? Those extreme blips where you're talking about taking 100-mile-per-hour heat to the pole side, where in addition, he's hitting pitches off the ground multiple times into the right field bleachers. Those are extreme outlier traits. Then when you layer on how fast he's made adjustments multiple times dating back to opening day of 2024 at that age, then you start thinking, okay, I have these ZiPS projections in front of me that say 13 to 17 home runs, but those projections are built on players who have never showed those extreme traits, right? So the range of outcomes for someone so unique like Pete is difficult to project. And while we want to know for certain, okay, he's going to be this MVP type player, the reality is he's 23 and he's still adapting. For all we know, he could still even get better, right? At the same time, he could get a little bit worse. There could be some reversion, not regression, but reversion where he has to back adjust to players. But he's shown multiple times throughout his career now, exactly 3 times, mechanical adjustments that lead to immediate success. This year, his barrel rate is almost 90%. Last year, at his worst, under 10%. He finished 2024 with about a 40% barrel rate. So it's these really rapid adjustments, right? One last thing, we can focus on some of the recency. Like, yeah, he is swinging and missing more. Like his contact rate over the past 3 weeks is under 70%. That's not really where you want to see that. He was around 80% entering May. You may want to see that tighten up, right? But the fact he's able to show prolonged stretches of better than Anthony Rizzo type contact in 150 plate appearances suggests you got these blips, right? So over the course of a longer career, separate from just 2025, it gives me a lot of confidence that at the very least, you can't project him. And that's kind of a weird way of putting it, but you really can't.
It's hard to, right?
Yeah.
I thought going into the year, we're going to see around a league average hitter, and not anymore. I don't expect that this year. I would expect him to be far above that, but it's crazy that the fact that you're mentioning like better contact than one of the best contact hitter the Cubs have ever had
for a prolonged stretch, right? Like those are
right,
those
yeah.
periods, right? Now he's around 74%. So it's gone down, but still right at league average rate. It's insane. We have a lot more to talk about. We could probably do a 5-hour episode on Pete. I know
Yes,
you and I can. I know I and Corey can do this, but let's take our first ad break here, come back around, finish talking about the lineup, and then we'll get into some pitching stuff. So first ad break here from our sponsor, Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. New customers can get $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5, win or lose. Sign up, use the code CHGO365, deposit $10, and place a bet for $5 to get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins or loses. With the Bet365 early payout offer, you are a winner if your team gains a 3-goal lead with an instant payout, let's say in the NHL playoffs, and parlay selections marked as winners. Download the app. Use code CHGO365 when you sign up. And breaking news from Bet365, new customers get $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5, win or lose. Sign up, use code CHGO365, deposit $10, and place a bet for $5 to get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins or loses. Bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or over, and if you or someone you know has a gambling problem, crisis counseling and referral services can be accessed by calling 1-800-GAMBLER in-app only. If you are thinking about upgrading your drive this season, Toyota's 2025 lineup is definitely worth a look. First up, there's the RAV4. It's versatile, reliable, and always ready for a little adventure. Then there's the Grand Highlander. Plenty of room, super comfortable, great for families and long road trips. And if you're looking for efficiency, there's the Corolla. And that has you covered. It's smart, stylish, easy on gas. And if you need something a little tougher, well, the Tacoma brings serious durability, whether you're on the road or off the beaten path. And finally, the Camry, sleek, fun to drive, and packed with performance. You can check out this full lineup at Toyota.com or stop by your local Chicagoland Toyota dealership. Toyota, let's go places and become a CHGO diehard and upgrade your fandom today. Get access to our exclusive written content, a free t-shirt, plenty of discounts on future merch and events, plus access to our CHGO Discord lounge, where we all hang out and talk Chicago sports and so much more. So go to allchgo.com for the latest information and how you can join the thousands of CHGO diehards in our community. And we cannot wait to connect with you on an ever greater level. Okay, Kevin, back to this offense. Right now, we can give our Who's Hot segment to Dansby Swanson. He is having a career year, Kevin. He's on pace for over 30 home runs, and you can visit fourseasonsheatingcooling.com for all their special offers and money savings coupons. That's fourseasonsheatingcooling.com. So Dansby Swanson on pace for over 30 home runs, 11 home runs right now. Importantly, some of the overall numbers he has in terms of run production is under what is to be expected. We've seen a lot of warning track fly balls recently from Dansby, and not just Dansby, but the rest of the offense. His expected weighted on base average, if you like that, is 361. I look at Dansby, he looks healthy. I look at Dansby. He's hitting sinkers well. He's hitting fastballs, his trademark pitch well. He's hitting breaking pitches better than last year. And he's performing well defensively like he always does. If you look at just the bulk sum of value from his free agent class of shortstop, he is the most valuable from that class. And he's having a career year, layering that on PCA, Tucker, and Seiya, and finally finding that role that he was being criticized for, not being a cleanup guy, but towards the back end of the lineup and fitting in very well.
Dansby is somebody who has always been a stabilizing force of a lineup, but never a guy that you wanted to rely on to propel you in terms of slugging and driving runs in. We talked about that ad nauseum for the couple of years that he's been here, but now that he kind of seamlessly fits into a lineup where you can put him towards the end of the lineup. If you need to move him up, if he's hot like he has been, you want to slide him into the 4 hole when they're facing a lefty, or if you want to keep flipping him in PCA in the 4 and the 5, or moving it, like you can move him around in the lineup and it doesn't seem to phase him. So that the guiding consistency of Dansby is, I think, what I appreciate the most about how he's approached this year. He looks healthy, no doubt. He doesn't seem like he's had any sort of problems at the plate. There was, that little bit of a dip there where Craig had to move him down to the 8 hole, and he lasted there less than a week. And, we know how Dansby is. He's ultra competitive and wanted to get moved back up. And he did.
Yeah, he did.
The power is interesting to me here too, because he's another one where always been around that 20 to 25 homer guy. I can't remember what his career high is. Has he
25.
hit 30 homers?
25.
Yeah, so he's never hit 30 home runs in a season. I wouldn't expect him to hit 30 home runs this year either. That's just we kind of have the sample size of them. But if he does, that's great. That's the type of extra winning on the margins that this team could really use. I've appreciated the fact that he has been moved up and down the lineup, and he continues to just go out there every day and give you Gold Glove defense. I mean, he's just Mr. Consistent. Him and Ian Happ both. I mean, both those guys are just stabilizing forces in the lineup, and they're not going to give you the sexy numbers at the plate all the time. Leave that to the other guys, but they fit in seamlessly.
This offense hasn't felt this stable top to bottom, of course, since 2016. And even the way they put up production, if you contrast that to 2016, it's a different style of production. It's one driven by a unique combination of contact and power, in addition to the base running that we're seeing and hitting the margins on all cylinders and the unexpected improvements across the entire diamond. So the veterans are improving, right? You have the young guys improving as well. You have Matt Shaw coming back up and showcasing that rapid adjustment. We didn't see that during the 2016, 2017 era outside of Chris Bryant and Anthony Rizzo. And Schwarber did get injured, but from that period of 2016 to 2018, the adjustments were too slow. Kyle Schwarber's adjustments were too slow, too variable. It led to one of the reasons why, in addition to budget constrictions, that he was ultimately non-tendered a contract during the COVID era. We look at someone like Ian Happ. Took a while for Ian to really capture that left field position, despite some of the ups and downs on offense. And Javi Baez, 2015, he was injured, had a little bit of a playoff push. 2016, didn't really catch his ground till the back end of the season. 2017 had some momentum. 2018, almost won the MVP, but it was a slower process where they eventually got there. They're all performing well, at least in 1 or 2 year seasons. But PCA, the quickness of the adjustments, Matt Shaw, the quickness of the adjustments, where we're looking 3 weeks ago with Matt Shaw in Iowa, completely different batter mechanically, greater leg kick, more crouched in his batting stance, comes back up, leg kick a little bit less pronounced, a little bit more rigid and fluid in his batting stance, immediately leading to those results. That is why when I look at just the entire lineup and the team as a whole, It's those quick adjustments that are successful that leaves me really encouraged. And specifically for Matt Shaw, he's been one of the better offensive contributors over the past week and a half now since he's been up.
Are you buying that?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm buying the Matt Shaw defense, and I'm buying him as a contact hitter. I'm not so sure. I would like to see some of the slug come back, and I don't know if that's because he had to make so many adjustments, and maybe right now they want him to just get on base and put the bat on the ball and just be simple, slow things up a little bit. Maybe that's why. Maybe it's not. I'm not sure. But it seems like even on a couple of the singles that he's had, there's been a couple dribblers in the infield that he's beat out. There's been a couple, line drives that have softly fallen over the shortstop or over the first baseman's head. I don't know. He has hit some very hard. That Marlins series, obviously, the couple doubles that he hit in the gap were rockets. I think I want to see a more sustained version of that before I hop on Shaw being, that above league average 100 WRC plus player. I think he can get there. I do. I'm just not so sure. Right now, it might take some more time. I think right now, I don't want to say he's getting lucky. That feels harsh.
Yeah.
It feels harsh, but there hasn't been the hard contact doesn't. He's not is yeah. I mean, you think it's
I'm ecstatic about Matt Shaw right now. I think you're underselling.
Sell me on it.
I think you're underselling on it. If you look at look at his batted ball profile. So he's 100 plate appearances. He has 4 batted balls where they're home runs in like over half the ballparks. So just do the simple math, right? So 4 home runs, maybe within that range, 100 plate appearances, multiply 4 times 6. That's a 24 home run potential, right? So he's already in his weak points showing a batted ball profile that in some instances lead to 20, 25 home runs. So you're critiquing him on the power, which is fair. Yeah. That's fair. But in some years, that type of output leads to 20 to 25 home runs in a scale 600 plate appearance sample. I look at the most recent changes. The most recent changes is he is driving the ball to right field. 3 opposite field doubles in that Miami series. In Miami, just coming back, right? Specifically, the reason I'm highest on him is because my concern was not that he was going to hit the ball weakly. It was that he was not going to hit the ball often. And he's showing this weird ability to hit baseballs outside the zone at an unsustainable rate, hitting pitches outside the zone at a 70% rate. That is crazy bat to ball contact. That's an elite skill that you typically don't want to have, but he's doing it, right?
Right.
So he's
that. Well, that's my worry though, right?
But hold on though. The fact that you can even do that, right? Someone who's been described as having maybe a little bit too much whiff in his profile for the output, he's coming up, making contact against pitches against the best pitchers in the world at that rate is insane to me. So the way I look at it is, okay, well, he can make contact when he wants to, right? So he's able to do that. He already is innately athletic. Sprint speed, 95th percentile. Power's been there, right? It's a matter of just being patient, having his talent take hold of the natural approach changes that he's already shown he can make, right? We talked about PCA having the talent, going through these extreme blips. This is the biggest blip you can see. Someone who's making this weird high amount of contact and pitches he shouldn't make, yet he can still do it. That to me is what really stands out and why I'm most encouraged in a weird way.
And he's in the perfect lineup to do it, right? He's sitting down. He's sitting in the perfect lineup to do that because you don't need him to slug right now. I think the way Craig has deployed him,
you can allow him to go through these different adjustment phases.
Well, and the fact if they are telling him, hey, listen, we just go up there and swing like you normally do, and if you have the oppo power, keep smoking the ball in the gap. But if you just keep putting the bat on the ball and getting on base, we're just going to have you steal bases and get in scoring position. And then you're going to score because the top of our lineup is absolutely raking. I mean, the way Craig has deployed him almost, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, there's clearly a lot of thought that went into, okay, he might not be completely ready offensively, but he's clearly not a AAA hitter because he took 25 plus walks in AAA and had 30 plus hits, something like that, when he was down there for a month. So he was on base every game and he was hitting home runs down there. So he's clearly a AAA hitter, but let's deploy him in the major leagues because we can. And you're right. I mean, if he's making contact outside the zone against guys throwing as hard as they are, I mean, that's a pretty elite skill to have. Again, it's not one that maybe that's just the old head in me.
Yeah.
Right. Like maybe that's just the old head baseball thing in me.
But he shouldn't be doing that. He should not be making contact on pitches outside the zone. I'm not saying that as this is why he's going to have success. It's the representation of bat to ball skill. Eventually he will lay off those pitches. He will not be swinging at those pitches, but he can hit the ball when he's intentionally trying to hit the ball.
Yeah. You know what I'm not going to lay off of? Going to Sunnyside.
Look at that.
I'm not laying off Sunnyside. I love Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. It's our home for judgment-free cannabis shopping. It's a place where all kinds of visitors are welcome to explore, discover, and purchase a wide array of high-quality products. Sunnyside has everything you need to elevate your summer. So what are some of the amazing features that it offers? Well, one-stop shop for all your cannabis needs. Sunnyside has expertly curated menus, over 100 strains to choose from, plus easy online ordering and in-store pickup. Sunnyside is Illinois' favorite dispensary with locations in Wrigleyville, River North, the suburbs, the home of Cody Del Mendo or close to it, Champaign, Illinois, South Beloit. And if you're starting out, Sunnyside has expert guidance and brands that you love, like Good News and Midneys. If you're a pro, well, we've got you covered with that too. Over 100 strains on the menu to choose from and new ones added every day, expertly curated. We know you'll love Cresco and Florical's incredible quality and consistent products. Visit sunnyside.shop for bright buys every day, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases. Enter the promo code HICHGO at checkout to qualify. Exclusions apply. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary, bright buys every day, only for 21 and up or Illinois medical card holders. And again, for existing users, use the promo code CHGO50 for 50% off one Cresco Labs branded item. Empire Today. We've all been to those big box stores. You wander around the aisles and somehow you're hauling all these materials home, looking for somebody to help install your new floors that you just bought, coordinating everything yourself. Those big box stores might have flooring departments, but the person who's in that department may have just been working in the sink department yesterday, might have been stocking light bulbs. Who knows? So why is Empire Today your best bet for a new floor? Well, they live and breathe flooring, and they're going to help you every step of the way. It's a whole different ball game. Their flooring experts bring the showroom right to your house. You pick the floors that you want, the colors you want. You see how it looks with your furniture, your house, your paint job. And then simple as that. You set it up, and they come out and set it in. With Empire Today, you get a clear upfront and all-inclusive pricing. Plus, you can schedule installation, like I said, as soon as the next day, because nobody likes to wait. Schedule an in-home free estimate today because some things are just better at home. CHGO listeners, right now, $350 off. You're getting your floors installed when you use the promo code CHGO. Yes, you heard that right. $350 off with the code CHGO. Restrictions apply. Visit empiretoday.com/CHGO for full details. It's really dark in here. I'm going to turn the light on in my kitchen. I feel like I'm in a cave.
It's not supposed to be representing your mood right now. It's supposed to be very bright, very bright.
Give me a second.
That's fine. So as Kevin's brightening up the mood over there, the Cubs lineup we just discussed, we have 10 guys who are all above league average offensively, just by WRC plus. You have PCA outperforming expectations. You have Kyle Tucker living up to those expectations. The central reason for any pessimism folks have is the pitching. It's the starting pitching injuries. Justin Steele is out. Shota Imanaga is coming back from hamstring injuries. The bullpen. Porter Hodge has the oblique injury. Ryan Presley has not looked like the guy that he was over the past few years, right? Mm-hmm. So we look at the pitching and we think, oh man, if things go down, it's likely going to be due to that pitching. So I'm going to show one chart here, throw it back to you, Kevin. I do want to set the stage, at least how I think about this when we talk about this discussion. The way I approach the Cubs pitching staff is looking at how many innings they need to fill. It's a really easy way of doing this. You can get stuck in the minutia of like, okay, well, what about the number 3 starter? What about like what's going to happen if Ben Brown doesn't perform well? Are they going to bring someone else up? I look at it as how many innings do we need to fill by October? And the answer is they need to fill 580 innings from their starting pitching staff. How is this going to work? Right now, their top 5 guys are Matthew Boyd, Ben Brown, Colin Ray, Jameson Taillon. And when he comes back, Shota, but right now it's Cade Horton. The challenge of this right now is for them to reach 580 innings from that staff. Each one of those starting pitchers will have to meet their career innings pitched highs. Every single one. Matthew Boyd will need to finish the year at 178. Ben Brown had a neck tumor last year, 162. Colin Ray won't be his career high because he's not pitching every single day, but 128 innings. Jameson Taillon, that will be a career high for him at 192 at this pace. Shota, had he not been injured, was pitching at a career high pace, right? And now the hamstring injury may complicate the ramp-up period. If those 5 guys are not able to continue this pace, well, here's the backups. It's Chris Flexen. It's Cade Horton, as you're seeing right now in orange. Connor Noland. You may have no idea who Connor Noland is. I did not 30 minutes ago. He's in AAA. It could be Keegan Thompson. Keegan Thompson has 5 stars and 12 appearances in AAA. Justin Steele's out for the year. Jordan Wicks, really disappointing start to the year. Now he just injured himself. Javi Assad with the oblique injury. So I'm looking at this, Kevin, and I'm thinking, oh my God, can Matthew Boyd pitch 178? Can Ben Brown pitch 162? Can Jameson Taillon actually pitch 192? How's Shota going to look when he comes back? And if those guys don't go through this consistent every 5th day routine, who's our backups? I mean, it's certainly not going to be Cade Horton through September. Keegan Thompson's not a starting pitcher. I mean, is it really just Chris Flexen and that's it? And that at the core is the discussion and the core of how do you make sure that if there's an injury or a reversion, they're not missing a beat.
580 innings. I want to quickly, just for the people listening, where did you, so there's how many games left? Did you get that from?
162 minus 56. Okay. That's going to be, what is that? That's going to be
106.
106, right? 106. I'm averaging 5 to 6 innings per start. Okay. So we're roughly in the 580 innings range from your starting rotation. Does not even include the bullpen. That's how. So
one thing I think, and it's not, I don't want to use the phrase banking on, but Javier Assad, I am confident that he will be back in starting games for you at some point or another.
You would think, right? But oblique injuries are hit or miss.
Correct. And I don't think it's going to be anytime soon. I think they will stretch him out and use him in the long-term relief role because of the way that the guys are performing right now, the way Cade Horton is performing in the starting rotation right now. I think the only guy that might get flexed out of there is Ben Brown when you do get Imanaga back. And truth be told, Brendan, it's a pretty simple answer for me how you're going to fill this.
It's pretty simple too. I mean, you have to go out.
You're going to make a move.
You got to make not just one move. You have to make multiple moves.
And there are guys out there whom can be had from teams like affordable contract type deals. And I'm going to run a couple names by you.
Okay.
Drew Rasmussen.
Sure.
Is a guy I really like. I've been high on him for a long time. He's signed a 2-year, $8.5 million deal with Tampa Bay. I know he can make a lot more than that in incentives, things like that. But Tampa Bay is a team that's not contending this year. That's a very affordable deal that's not going to hamstring you. And it's a guy who is having a wonderful season as a starting pitcher. I think I don't know how many quality starts he has, but it's at least 3. Another guy who you could have had this offseason, who I was pounding the door for, was Nathan Eovaldi. I don't know where the Rangers are at. I know there's been the red meat talk on radio and throwing it out there has been Jacob deGrom. But listen, Jacob deGrom is due over $120 million over the next over the next 3 seasons. So I don't know if that's a move Jed's going to want to make. I don't think it is. But Nathan Eovaldi signed a 3-year deal for $75 million. He's currently one of 8 pitchers in Major League Baseball, 8 or 9, I believe it's 9 now, with a 2.0 WAR. So this is a guy that's having one of his best seasons. He's proven he's been in the World Series. I believe he won a World Series with the Red Sox. I believe he was on that team. Don't quote me on that, but I know that he's had plenty of postseason experience. Those are two of the names that I'm looking at that would not cost you top 100 prospects. Now there's the bigger fish, right? You could go after the bigger fish, but those are the two names. I think you're right. I think there's two starting pitchers that you're going to need to acquire, and we know it's coming. Jed has said as much. He said mid to late June is when the big time moves the market will start to shift. You get a whole extra month of sample size and where your team is. If the Cubs have Imanaga back and he's firing on all cylinders, that might change things. You get basically, there's a lot of teams in the National League who are considered contenders right now because the National League is loaded. So a lot of these teams, though, still think that they are good enough to contend. So you get one. It's not just like the types of teams. It's also getting a look at your own team over the next month. A whole extra sample size of guys who maybe aren't having just 2 good weeks, but they're actually having, or they're projecting to have a really good season is what I'm trying to say, if that makes sense.
Makes sense.
So,
that's why with Javi Assad, he's not going to be back anytime soon. So they have to operate that any performance you get from him is a luxury, unfortunately. And that is how Jed will have to proceed into July to fill those void innings. You cannot project 1 inning from Javi Assad this season. That's how you have to operate. So you mentioned Nate Eovaldi, $25 million this year, next year, 2027. I like Eovaldi a lot. He's on pace for a Cy Young Award contention this year. How can you not? Mm-hmm. The Cubs right now, according to MLB COTS, are $23 million away from that first tier of the luxury tax, right?
Yep.
So that would make them go over. Now you expect them to go over, right? But they still have not. It's challenging. So I'm going to throw one other name out there, and we're really ahead of throwing out names, but Kevin Gausman, someone, $22 million this year and next year, and that's it. Kind of fits that short-term idea Jed loves with these types of aging pitchers. I personally would pass out if we acquire Kevin Gausman. I've been wanting Kevin Gausman since 2015. That would be a great one.
Have you seen the interviews or heard the quotes from when Theo was running the show here, him and Jed, how much they gushed over Kevin Gausman 10 years ago?
That's why I've never lost sight of that.
Now they ended up with Yu Darvish, I believe, a couple of years later, but they were trying to sign Gausman, was the golden goose of that free agent class. And obviously you get Darvish, and that's a very nice consolation prize. Darvish is great. But yeah, Kevin Gausman's been one of the more underrated starting pitchers in baseball for a decade now. He is awesome. He's right up your alley because you love looking at pitch shapes, and he throws the ball every which direction and has a bunch of different pitch mixes. He's
the godfather of the splitter. Yeah. So we talked about splitter. He is the one who basically invented the modern day splitter. So I would love that.
Gausman now? How old is he now?
He's got to be 34.
34. Yeah.
34 or so. To me, this is the Cole Hamels playbook. Like, you get someone in that age category, right? Cubs acquired Cole Hamels when they needed a starting pitcher. They picked up his option for around 20-ish or so million the following year. And for all intents and purposes, that was the right idea, right? That was the right process. But we're still ahead of the game. The market's not shaped up yet. But the way I see this working out is, number one, they will have to go over the luxury tax that first year. Number two, it's a matter of, do you spend the bulk of that money on high leverage relief arms to shore up the back end there, or do you use the bulk of that money to shore up maybe some innings that you need to get in bulk in the starting rotation? I don't know what the answer to that is. I would lean towards spend the money on the most innings, and that would be in the form of starting pitching. But in a perfect scenario, Ben Brown starts to show and translate some of the whiffs he's gotten into outs. Jameson Taillon, we'll talk about this after the next ad break. A lot of what we've seen starts to translate to even better results than the sub-4 ERA he currently has. Shota Imanaga comes back. Looks like 2024 Shota Imanaga. If all that happens and Matthew Boyd looks healthy, If Colin Ray continues to succeed, then maybe by July you start shifting your thought process, where it's like, all right, well, if we can get to August and September, maybe we only need one starting pitcher. And let's spend more money on the back end of the bullpen. And I think that's where the flexibility will come in for the front office. But it's more of a wait and see game before you start seriously considering trading for someone who's going to be making $20+ million. They're not in position to do that yet.
One last quick thing about Kevin Gausman before we hit the ad break. He's got a lot of fun statistics. My favorite thing about Kevin Gausman, 31 starts last year, 31 starts the year before, 31 starts the year before, 33 starts the year before. A durable, electric, veteran-tested arm.
Listen, man, when the Cubs didn't sign him for 5 years, 110, and they opted for the shorter term deal with Stroman, my heart was broke. Okay. I thought that was a mistake at the time. I thought I understand the market situation and everything, but the risk there was, well, there's not many guys who have a splitter. I don't want to spend $110 million on a splitter, but they underestimated the market. They underestimated how much.
Two separate opportunities to get him then, right? Because I was thinking of the Darvish year.
Yeah. So that's when he went. Right. So that's when he left Baltimore, basically, right? So,
and that's right. They had another chance to get. That's right. I forgot all about that. Him versus Stroman. I forgot all about that.
Yeah.
You're right.
So they went short term with Stroman. I understand it, but they did that because they didn't have the projectability on a guy with a splitter. So I understood it, but it was a mistake in hindsight. It just simply was. Let's take a quick ad break here. Finish up some of the starting pitching and bullpen discussion, and then we'll clock out and finish up this Thursday evening. So, Monarch Money. Finances can be messy and confusing. Monarch Money acts like your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control so you can stop earning and start growing. Don't just manage your money, start building wealth with 50% off your first year for our listeners. You can start managing your finances to build the life you actually want. Monarch makes managing money simple, even for those with busy lives. You can track your spending, track your savings, track your investments, all effortlessly, so you can focus on what matters most, like spending all that money on going to Chicago Cubs playoff games. How about that? Monarch Money is the finance tool people actually love. So get control of your overall finances with Monarch Money. Use code CHGO at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code CHGO. New vehicles are in store at Ray Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, and this is your chance to score a great deal during the Employee Pricing Plus sales event. Head to Ray CDJR on Route 12 today to choose from their huge inventory of new Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram vehicles. Right now, lease a new 2025 Jeep Grand Cherokee 4xE for only $245 a month for 24 months. Plus, shop over 125 vehicles priced under $20,000 with a friendly team of brand experts. The team at Ray CDJR is here to help you during each step of your car shopping journey. Plus, they prioritize affordability. You know you won't overpay for the vehicle you need. And with Ray's price promise, you can shop confidently with no add-ons or hidden fees ever. Do not miss out on the Employee Pricing Plus sales event for huge savings on the Jeep Grand Cherokee. For more information, visit Ray CDJR today on Route 12 in Fox Lake or online at raycdjr.com. They've been serving the community since 1963. Let's take the temp, Kevin. We're going to take the temp right now. It's getting a little hot. Jameson Taillon. Now, the numbers don't seem like it. We'll get into it, but it's getting hot for Jameson Taillon. Also, your trusted local experts are Four Seasons Heating, air conditioning, plumbing, and electric. Visit fourseasonsheatingcooling.com for all their special offers and money-saving coupons. That's fourseasonsheatingcooling.com. So why is Jameson Taillon getting hot? Is it a little hot over there in Chicago? We got Kevin waving off his face over there.
It's about to warm up next week. We'll get 80s up here.
There you go. So Jameson Taillon, I believe he's going a little bit under the radar on the improvements he's made. Now, a lot of hype when he was signed for $71 million a couple years back, had a rough start to his Cubs tenure, had a much better season last year. This year, first start of the year was awful. Now he's calmed down. I look at his pitch shapes And I'm looking at what he's changed. I'm thinking, okay, well, if he continues to show these shapes, then there seems to be a good chance that he can get outs. So what has he done differently this year? If we look at this graph on the left, point your eyes towards those red pitches. Those are red four-seam fastballs. Go to the right a little bit. You see those orange sinkers. See right by those orange sinkers. You see those green changeups. See how they're all close to each other? Not much separation. Great. Now go all the way to the right. This is 2025. Those red four-seam fastballs, they're higher up on this graph. He is throwing his four-seam fastball with more carry. Now you see those green changeups. See how down and right to they are? That's a new changeup. So now all of a sudden, you have 6 colors represented by 6 different pitch types are all separate from each other. A curveball, a sweeper, a cutter, a red four-seam, a sinker, a changeup, all separate. 2 of those pitch types new and improved and continuously improving. So I look at these shapes, I think, okay, well, he has more carry. That's intentional. That's what he wants to do. He has this new changeup. We have Tyler Zombro talking exactly about Jameson Taillon's mechanics lending towards those pitch types, and we're not seeing the full results yet, in my opinion. You talked about, I like guys who can start games. I like guys who get 30 starts per year. If there's anyone on this roster most likely to accomplish that goal, it's Jameson Taillon. And I believe as he starts getting more comfortable and showing these pitch types more and refining this new type of separation, there is a chance that we see better results in a better second half, even as soon as maybe the next few weeks from what he's showing. And that to me gives me the most confidence of any guy currently in the rotation.
If you're talking strict innings eaters and guys who have, clearly made, strides since getting, I think Jameson Taillon is definitely the guy I would predict to probably give you the most innings this year, because he's not going to get moved to the bullpen. He's not on that chopping block. So I would assume that he's the type of guy that could exceed his projections and probably give you the most innings. I'm curious, and by the way, this is you're doing yourself a disservice by not following Brendan about pitching, by the way, because I'm being serious. I mean, this is the type of stuff. This is what they look at when they're talking to pitchers in one-on-one meetings. They look at these types of graphs and they say, "Hey, you're not getting enough run on this pitch. Here's what you need to grip to get this, and this is how you'll get this swing and miss when this pitch ends up here." And being able to explain it like you do is very impressive. So it's fun to learn. It's fun to learn when you do that. But the changeup, the one thing I'm curious about, I brought this up in postgame yesterday. Matthew Boyd's changeup has been phenomenal this year. And I wonder if there's any correlation between the two. I wonder if there's any correlation between Taillon's changeup and Boyd's changeup, if they're learning off each other, if they're different. I don't really know what the differences would be between the two, but those have been put out pitches for those guys. And it worked very well. It's worked very well for Boyd all year, and Taillon kind of the same thing. I mean, he's getting a lot of the zone. If I have one critique of Taillon, it's he's giving up a lot of home runs. Yeah, he's been a little bit too aggressive for my liking when he's ahead in the count. But
it's a refinement process, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's not something I'm gonna be overly angry about, because he's still giving quality starts, and they've been solo homers. It's not like he's screwing around with the bases loaded and guys on base. So it's not the end of the world. But you're right. If that is Cody brought up an interesting point. I wanted to run this by you about Taillon. He would be concerned about Taillon potentially throwing in a playoff series, being your third starter, just because of the hard contact and the rate you give him. And I wonder if you've given any thought to that to this point, if you've thought that far ahead.
I view pitching differently than I did 2-3 years ago. Okay. When we talk about Taillon, you're thinking about the guy that you saw last year. You're thinking about the guy that you saw in 2023. And the reality is those guys are dead. So this is a new version of himself. So I used to talk about Taillon in 2023 in a pessimistic sense, because Taillon would go up on the press conference and say, "Hey, my four-seam shape, I don't have the feel for it. It's going to be an off-season thing." I'm thinking to myself, crap, this guy is telling us he has no four-seam fastball right now. That's not happening right now. So that four-seam fastball is different, and he's not talking about it like that. So I'm looking at this guy as a different pitcher. Now, the concerns about, he's not going to get enough whiffs. Well, he's in the range of every single other Cubs pitcher in whiff category, right? So if you're concerned about, oh my God, Taillon can't get whiffs as a 3-starter, well, then you're concerned about every single other Cubs pitcher is valid, right? The Cubs, once you get to the playoffs, all bets are off. So if you can generate weak contact with that defense, that's fine. You're at the degree of randomness in 5-7 game series. At that point, who knows what the hell is going to happen? I want to get to October. That's my goal. Our version of winning the World Series with, Jake Arrieta and Lester and Hendricks, that will likely never be repeated in our Cubs' lives. That was historically great and consistent. So I do not share that concern with Cody.
Okay.
Yeah,
I don't really either. It's more so I see where he's coming from, because as it stands right now, without Steele in there, I think Imanaga is he's your top of the line guy, obviously.
It's
but
still
it just
too
feels
early
like,
though, Kevin. Right?
Like
there's so many
not
variables at hand. You're talking about like with Taillon, he literally is showing a new fastball in just 10 starts. When stuff like this happens, you do not know what's going to look like 3 months from now. So Brad Keller, right? You talk about Matthew Boyd and the changeup. The changeup is one of his reasons why he's successful, but it is different than Taillon. Taillon's changeup is more like Brad Keller's. It's that more like fade type profile. The reason they have very similar mechanics. So if you look what the Cubs are doing, it's Chris Flexen. It's to some degree Colin Ray, but more so Chris Flexen, Brad Keller, Jameson Taillon. High release slots, guys who can cut the baseball, more or less, right? And listen to Tyler Zombro. He's talking exactly about those guys and those profiles. Chris Flexen, success. Brad Keller, extreme success. Jameson Taillon, I believe the success will come, right? Better than what we've seen. So I'm more fluid. In years past, I may have been more rigid, like what you're thinking right now, but I don't know what's going to happen in the next 2 months. I'm leaving it open to the possibility that in both bad and good, Taillon could be a starting rotation guy in the playoffs, and bad very well may not be, right? But the possibility that he can be is absolutely there, absolutely part of the discussion.
So that kind of ties in the whole thing, in which we're talking about the going out and acquiring 2 starting pitchers for specific innings. So if you, who do you think would fill that gap? Are you specifically looking for a top of the line ace 4 or 5 WAR pitcher then? Or are you just looking for more guys like Jameson Taillon and Matthew Boyd who can come into the pitch lab and start kind of following suit with certain arm slots and the types of changeup that those guys have unleashed this year? What's kind of your jurisdiction there? What are you kind of looking for? Because I guess I'm not sure. I want to have the top of the line guy.
Yeah, I mean, all things steady, like you get the best, right? It's a matter of how much money you have and how you allocate that towards the risk in the bullpen and starting rotation, right? So if your bullpen, let's say Palencia starts to, revert, right? Let's say Porter Hodge is not progressing with the oblique injury. Your bullpen is not stable. You need to go out and get resources somehow. Some of those guys may be expensive money-wise, right? So you may have to sacrifice some of the starting pitching depth in order to shore up some of the volatility that you have in your bullpen. Now, let's say Porter Hodge does come back healthy in July, looks good. Palencia has turned a corner. This is who he is, pumping 102. Yeah, go get me that top of the rotation arm. Yeah, we have Boyd still producing well and Colin Ray producing well, but you know what? We got this money. I want to get that top of the rotation guy and work itself out.
I guess I wonder where, the way you talk about Taillon, it sounds like you see him as one of the best pitchers in baseball. And I don't know if that's I guess that's where I'm trying to figure out.
It's like you have like you have like a certain range of outcomes, okay, with guys, right? And so guys who show from a year to year basis the same exact stuff, they're more projectable, right? Because they have the same pitch types, right? But when you have Taillon, who's constantly evolving, and 2023 is different than 2024 is different than 2025, you have to leave open the possibility that you can achieve that upper end of the projection, just like PCA did, just like hopefully Matt Shaw does, just like Seiya Suzuki's doing, just like the entire Cubs lineup is doing. And so it's leaving the opportunity open. That's not certainty. Am I comfortable with it? Absolutely not. But I'm not making decisions now at the end of May. I'm not making decisions now at the end of May. I'm saying there is a world in which Taillon does meet your threshold for a starting rotation in October. That has not been met yet, but there's a world in which he can get there given what we're seeing. And by July, then let's reevaluate. You cannot make financially smart decisions now for this team when you have all these overlapping outcomes. You have to figure out what makes the most sense, and the risk profile is not quite there yet until July.
I guess that's just the impatience of myself and Cody, because I think we both kind of feel you're right. But the point about 2023 Taillon versus 2024 Taillon is a great point, because recency bias tends to draw me back into looking at how Taillon started his Cubs tenure and how he did get better. But there was nothing about his stuff that really inspired me enough. But you're right, it's a different pitch mix this year. It's a different pitch. So giving it time and giving it the runway, you're right. You got to leave it open to the potential of him hitting that ceiling. And I think he can. It'd be great if he did. It seems like everybody else on this team is exceeding expectations. So why not Taillon?
That's exactly the way you have to look at it, right? It's May 29th. As much as we want this team to be complete, we're all now a little greedy given the fast start. It's still...
That's where I'm at. Yeah. I want more. I want more now.
It's still a growing process. Let's see how Shota looks like when he comes back. Let's see how the guys look like in the bullpen when healthy. Let's reevaluate. Let's all hold hands. Let's get through June healthy, and let's figure out what the best F for it is. Let's leave it at that. I think you and I can talk about this, bullpen and the staff the next hour. We got to get out of here. We're
going to do that after this, right?
Is that what we're going to do? Okay, we can do that after this. Yeah, sure. We'll come back, Corey and I, next Thursday. I believe the Cubs are actually playing a game next Thursday. Let me check here. First Thursday game of the year. So they play the Nationals. We'll be on probably around 9 p.m. Central, give or take when they finish the game. Okay. You have on Sunday, Kevin, with Luke and Cody, I believe. Is that correct?
Not this Sunday. I'm off. Luke and Cody will be here this Sunday, but I will be back Wednesday and then the following Sunday. Yes.
Well, there you go. So we have Kevin coming back on Wednesday, got the whole crew next week as normally we do. And let's just keep winning baseball games. That's all I really got. Let's keep chugging along, stacking up these wins. And then by July, let's start making those trades. So we'll leave it at that. As always, thank you for listening. We will see you next week. Go Cubs.
We all silly like the mayor.